If you thought the K-pop world had ever gone crazy over one idol's hair, wait until you hear this story. Imagine, you have one decision to make about your own appearance. A decision you've thought through carefully, but suddenly, everyone around you is against it. Your group members are against it. The company you're signed to, one of the biggest music labels in South Korea, is also against it. Almost everyone is telling you, just cut it already. But you hold your ground. That's exactly what Park Jimin did. This one BTS member genuinely walked alone, went against the current, for something that might look trivial on the surface, but actually carries a meaning far deeper than any of us expected. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time here, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss our latest content. And for all you loyal armies who've been with this channel from the beginning, you are the best. Alright, without further ado, let's fully break down the drama behind Jimin's long blonde hair that sent the entire K-pop world into a frenzy. Before we get into the hair drama, we need to flash back to the bigger context that set all of this in motion. The album Arirang, BTS's 10th studio album, was released on March 20th, 2026 by Big Hit Music. It was the group's first release after completing their mandatory military service, and marked their first studio album in nearly 6 years since being in 2020. Think about the pressure, guys. 6 years. 6 years away from the stage as a complete group. And when they finally came back, the entire world, literally the entire world, was watching. The expectations were enormous. Armies who had been waiting for years could finally see their OT7 together again. The album immediately broke multiple records on Spotify and Apple Music, including the largest debut day streams for an Asian act in history and the most streamed album released in 2026 on Spotify up to that point. With that level of pressure, every artistic decision the members made was under intense scrutiny. And that's exactly where Jimin's hair story begins to unfold. Jimin first revealed his long blonde hair when BTS held their comeback performance at Gwangwon Square in March 2026. From that moment on, his appearance became a constant topic of conversation in fan communities across different countries. And trust me, saying it was a topic of conversation is a massive understatement. This wasn't just casual chatter, it became its own global phenomenon. Now before we get to the drama, let's talk about the moment that stopped the world. The most talked about moment happened during BTS's opening concert at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas on May 23, 2026. At that show, Jimin appeared with long blonde hair styled with braids in certain sections, and that look immediately became one of the hottest topics among fans. Try to picture it. Thousands of people inside Allegiant Stadium, a venue normally used for the Super Bowl, with every single pair of eyes suddenly drawn to one man with long blonde hair flowing under the stage lights. Outside the venue, millions more were watching through the live stream, and on social media, Jimin's name exploded instantly. TikTok was flooded with fancam videos. Twitter, or X, call it whatever you want, had blonde Jimin trending in almost every corner of the world. Instagram was packed with screenshots and edited photos of Jimin looking like an anime character brought to life. Many fans gave him various unique nicknames because the hairstyle was seen as giving him a completely different aura compared to his previous looks. Some said he looked like a prince from a medieval fairy tale. Some said his aura became more ethereal, more otherworldly. Some even cried watching him because they felt this was the most Jimin version of Jimin they had ever seen. But behind all that visual beauty, there was a story that not many people knew about. On April 29, 2026 KST, after the final show of the Arirang World Tour in Tampa, Jimin hosted a Weverse Live alongside jhope and Suga, with V appearing as a guest. And that's where the bomb dropped. In a relaxed atmosphere, they had just wrapped up a concert, still riding the post-show euphoria. The topic of Jimin's hair suddenly came up, and Jimin started talking. Jimin shared that many people, including people at work, had suggested he cut his hair. Despite this, he chose to keep the style and mentioned that only his mother had supported his decision. Wait, let's really sit with this for a moment. Only his mother supported him. Of everyone around Jimin, 6 BTS members, professional stylists, HYB's creative team, artist management, only one person said, "Yes, go for it, son." And that person was his own mother. In his own words, Jimin explained, "But everyone was against it, my long hair. Even at work it was like, maybe you should cut your hair, but I just wanted to try something different for once. My mom was my only supporter. Guys, this isn't just ordinary K-pop gossip. This is an incredibly powerful statement from an artist about creative autonomy and the freedom to express himself. In the K-pop industry, which is famously strict about image and appearance, taking a stance like this takes courage that is anything but small. And the story doesn't stop there. Because in that same broadcast, Suga, the genius of BTS, known for being honest and straightforward, jumped in with his own thoughts. Suga, as a fellow member, added that long hair is indeed a controversial style, acknowledged that he had tried it himself, and said he understood the mixed reactions that came with it. Suga explained that he had cut his own long hair, saying there couldn't be two members with the same hairstyle in the group, and added that his own father had actually preferred his hair when it was longer. So it turns out that when it comes to long hair, Jimin isn't the only one with a family story behind it. Suga had his own version of that drama with his dad. But what's really interesting about Suga's comments is that he wasn't judging Jimin. He didn't say Jimin's decision was wrong. If anything, there was a sense of mutual understanding between them. Suga, having experienced the whole long hair journey himself, could genuinely empathize with Jimin's choice. And this moment also revealed something beautiful about the dynamic inside BTS. Even when there's disagreement, there's respect. Now, if the internal drama with BTS and HYBE was already intense, the ARMY side of things was no less dramatic. After Jimin's confession went viral from the live stream, social media split almost immediately into two massive camps. The first camp was outraged at HYBE. Many ARMYs felt that a label should be supporting the artistic creativity of its artists, not standing in the way of it. Some fans were tweeting threads that essentially blamed HYBE for being too controlling over how their idols look. One of the most widely retweeted comments essentially said the company had been holding Jimin back. The anger in the tone was unmistakable. Many argued that Jimin, as a grown, highly talented artist, should have full freedom to choose his own appearance. The second camp was in awe and genuinely proud of Jimin's attitude. For them, this moment revealed a side of Jimin that perhaps doesn't get enough spotlight, a quietly rebellious side. Someone who doesn't make noise or stir up drama, but silently keeps walking his own path anyway. Soft but unbothered. That's the kind of description that kept coming up. And if you watched how Jimin told the story on that live stream, his casual tone, the occasional soft laugh, you could feel that he had zero regrets. He knew what he wanted, and he did it. Okay guys, now we get to arguably the most important part of this video. Why does this hair actually mean so much to Jimin? What is he trying to express? If you read between the lines of what Jimin said, I just wanted to try something different for once. There's a simplicity in that statement that's genuinely touching. This wasn't about ego. It wasn't about seeking attention. It was about a human being wanting, just this one time, to do something purely because he wanted to. We all know how structured an idol's life is. From hair color to stage outfits, from the way they smile to the way they gesture on stage, so many things are managed, planned, and decided collectively by a large team. In an ecosystem like that, one small decision like, I want my hair long and blonde, can become a deeply personal artistic statement. And there's even deeper context here. Jimin himself once touched on his hair in a previous Weverse live, explaining why he chose not to cut his hair and saying, my mom also doesn't like me with short hair. His mom. Again, his mom. In two different moments, 2023 and 2026, Jimin cited his mother as the compass behind his hair decisions. This is not a coincidence. There's something deeply warm and human here. Amid pressure from the industry, from colleagues, from the company, one voice kept coming through clearly, his mother's. And in the context of Korean culture, where the parent-child relationship carries enormous weight and significance, this small detail is actually something very, very large. To truly appreciate how big this moment is, we need to look at Jimin's hair track record throughout his career. Because honestly, this man has a long history, pun absolutely intended, when it comes to experimenting with his look. This blonde look brought back memories of one of his most iconic moments 7 years prior, specifically 2015, when he performed at the MBC Music Festival alongside BTS covering Perfect Man. That moment is still remembered as one of the most memorable Jimin performances of all time. In recent years, Jimin has reportedly experimented with orange and pastel pink, each creating its own wave of chaos across the internet. Every single time Jimin changes his hair, the K-pop world pauses to take notice. And that's not an exaggeration. That's literally what happens. Whenever Jimin transforms his look, a sensation follows the moment he shares a new photo on his official Instagram. And within a short time, social media fills up with discussions, praise, and extraordinary admiration. Now, with the long blonde hair of the Arirang era, Jimin has once again proven that he isn't just a world-class singer and dancer. He's also a visual artist who uses his appearance as a canvas for expression. If the reaction in Korea and within the fandom was already loud, internationally the response was equally overwhelming. When Jimin went blonde, fans fell more in love with him and couldn't stop talking about his look, which sent the internet into a frenzy. And heading into 2026, with the Arirang World Tour bringing BTS to major cities across the globe, Jimin's long blonde hair only became more iconic with every stop. Many fans gave him various unique nicknames because the hairstyle was felt to give off a completely different energy than any of his previous looks. In international fashion and style communities, Jimin has even started being called one of the most daring trendsetters in the global entertainment industry. Not because having long blonde hair is something new in the music world, it isn't, but because of the way he wears it. With his signature confidence and elegance, he creates something uniquely his own. Something that feels authentic rather than calculated. Okay guys, at this point I want to take a moment and go a little deeper. What can we actually take away from Jimin's hair story? The first lesson is about the courage to choose. In a world full of social pressure, whether in the entertainment industry or in our everyday lives, it's incredibly easy to just go along with what others suggest, especially when those others are large institutions and people we respect. But Jimin shows us that sometimes you need to trust your own instincts. You need to be brave enough to say, "This is my choice, and I'm going to stand behind it." The second lesson is about unconditional support. Jimin's mother was just one person, but her support was enough for him to face rejection from almost every other direction. This reminds us how vital it is to have even just one person, whether that's a parent, a best friend, a partner, who genuinely believes in you without conditions. Sometimes one right voice is more powerful than 1,000 voices of doubt. The third lesson is about authentic self-expression. In an era of social media where everything feels performative and curated, there's something genuinely refreshing about Jimin's story. He didn't choose this hairstyle because it was trending. He didn't choose it because of an algorithm. He chose it because he wanted to. And that authenticity, that realness, is precisely what makes Jimin's appearance so powerful and so inspiring. The fourth lesson is about an identity that keeps evolving. Jimin has long been known as one of the members who is always willing to experiment with his appearance. And with this long hairstyle, he continues to show off a character and personality that is uniquely his own. This isn't the first time Jimin has surprised the world with his look, and it almost certainly won't be the last. And that's what makes him so compelling. He keeps growing, keeps evolving, keeps being brave enough to become a new version of himself. Before we wrap up, I absolutely cannot leave out some of the funniest and most endearing ARMY reactions to Jimin's long hair. Because guys, ARMYs are incredibly creative when they're hyping up their favorite member. Someone tweeted, "Jimin now has longer hair than my entire existence," meaning they'd been waiting this long to see him look like this. Someone else said, "I'm not ready. I have officially resigned from my mental health," which is classic ARMY, dramatic but hilarious. Someone started a whole thread comparing Jimin to fictional characters with long blonde hair, from Legolas in Lord of the Rings to Daenerys in Game of Thrones. And somehow, bizarrely, every single comparison made sense. Jimin genuinely has the ability to fit into any aesthetic. And the most heartwarming one? An ARMY wrote, "Jimin's mom is the true MVP of this entire story. Thank you, Mrs. Park." Honestly, Jimin's mother deserves a standing ovation from the entire fandom. So there you have it, guys, the full story behind Park Jimin's long blonde hair that shook the entire K-pop universe. Facing rejection from nearly every direction, BTS members, HYB's team, colleagues across the industry, Jimin stood firm in his choice. Backed by just one person, his mother. And the result? A visual era that armies around the world will be talking about for a very long time. Whatever choice he makes, Jimin once again manages to send the entire internet into a frenzy with a transformation that looks simple on the surface but carries so much meaning underneath. And maybe that's the most beautiful message in this whole story. Sometimes the things that matter most in life look simple from the outside, but behind them, there is courage, there is conviction, and there is one voice that never stopped cheering for you. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like it, share it with your fellow armies, and drop a comment below telling me which Jimin hair era is the most iconic to you throughout his entire career. I'm genuinely curious to hear what you all think. Oh, and one more thing. Subscribe if you haven't already, because we're going to keep bringing you these behind-the-scenes stories from the K-pop world that you won't find anywhere else. See you in the next video. Stay safe, stay army, and remember, sometimes going against the current is exactly what carries you to the most beautiful place. Bye, Yellowheart.